our family is our most important thing. And being able to have that flexibility is awesome. And like, I'm able to pick them up if I need. Like, I had an event like last week where one of my kids was sick and my in-laws weren't able to watch her until like the afternoon. So I just loaded her up and took her to the office with me, and like, that you can't do that in anesthesia. So that has been amazing. Just having that little bit of freedom. I work all the time. Like, even if I'm not at work, I'm still managing work or ordering something or responding to messages or email. Now that we have a storefront, I have an office manager also who is just amazing. Like, she handles so many things for me, like, kind of unexpectedly away this week for a family medical emergency. And like, all of my team is just fantastic, just in handling everything, that I can, be here with my family and focusing on that. That has been so helpful, but it's a lot of work. And I definitely couldn't do it without a supportive husband and family. And that's just where my goal is, just to have more time with my family.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CRNA School Academy podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Snell, and today we have a very special guest, Megan Hagley. Welcome, Megan, to the show.
Hey, everybody.
So you guys, me and Megan go way back. I feel like literally way back from when I first started my own CRNA career. We worked together as CRNAs. And today, what's really cool is that Megan has actually started her own med spa, which I am bringing her on the show today to talk about CRNAs starting their own med spa and kind of what that entails. I think it's kind of maybe I could say trendy, I should say, but it definitely seems to be kind of popping up more and more. But I think it's a really amazing opportunity, wink, wink, to just keep this on your horizon, because I really think the trend is going that more and more services are being offered. They keep making more and more really neat techniques in this area, in this field, and CRNAs are very well equipped to be delivering this type of service. And so I just think it's really cool, and congratulations on that.
Thanks.
So a little bit about Megan, I'm going to share a little bit of background, is that she's been a CRNA for 10 years, and that she just started her anesthetic business in 2020, shortly after COVID. She now has a full service med spa located in South Bend, Indiana, and it's called Pure Anesthetics and Wellness. And she also is married to a CRNA, who I also remember working with back in the day. And he is actually uniquely completing a chronic pain management fellowship and a postmaster's NP certification. They have two daughters, Elliot and Dylan, so 5 and 3, which is awesome. So I think those of you listening who are like, how does Megan do this with kids? It is possible. Both busy, obviously, and here they are. And I'm excited to hear about kind of how did you decide to start a med spa and what got you interested in that path?
Well, it was shortly after COVID, and I had just had my youngest, and I went back to work for about 2 weeks, and like everything shut down. And I was like, like both Ryan and I have to be up super early, and hours are obviously unpredictable and long. And it was just really, really challenging having a young family. So I originally started, because I'm like a numbers person, right? Like all of CRNAs are like. So I was like, I'm going to get like a degree in accounting, and I'll just start my own firm and like do that. And so I started getting a doctorate in anesthesia, and I did one accounting class, and I was like, maybe this isn't what I want to do. At that time, there was another CRNA, Kelly Hermans, who started a training program. And I was like, I had been started getting treatments, and I was like, this is really super awesome. I just love how it made me feel. And so I wanted to be able to have that little bit of flexibility in scheduling, and also be able to bring that to other women, other moms who might not have thought that it was what they had envisioned for their life. But then like it had such a positive impact on me when I got my own toxin, my own filler, whatever. I was like, this needs to be, everybody needs this. Like everybody needs this in their life.
Awesome. I love that. And I think it's becoming, I agree that I think maybe 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of like a social kind of faux pas, like, oh my gosh, just enjoy natural beauty. And to be honest with you, I don't think this is about not natural beauty. It's more about enhancing your natural beauty. And the reality is it's becoming more and more socially acceptable. I have recently made that bridge myself with getting Botox. And it's funny because I had it done, and it's funny. I was like, I could do a podcast episode. People are going to notice. And people did say, oh, wow, Jenny. And I'm like, oh yeah, but it does take a little bit of time to have that settle in. But that being said, it is something about just feeling good in your own skin. And okay, maybe you don't want wrinkles. Like there's something wrong with not wanting wrinkles and having more fuller
Right.
lips or just having a more youthful appearance. There's no shame in that. And I think that it's
Hmm.
becoming more socially acceptable. So I agree. I think it's about empowering not just women, but women and men to really just, do what makes them happy, makes them feel good.
Exactly. Like I remember the like catalyst for me was Ryan took a picture of me like with my youngest, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a nice picture. Like moms never get pictures, right? And then I was like, what is happening to my face? Because like I don't remember who that is. Like it wasn't who I remember looking at in the mirror.
Hmm.
And I remember after I got my first like cheek filler, I mean, which is not much. It was like a half a syringe in each cheek. I like sat up and looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, like this was my face 5 years ago. Like I pulled up some of our engagement pictures and I was like, this was me. Like I was crying. I
Aw.
was like so emotional. I was like, this all the like natural aging process. Like now that I know that was happening and I didn't know what was happening or like how to fix it. I just knew that at that point, like who I was seeing in that picture and who I remember myself being, they were not it. And like we as women and as professionals, like we give so much to our husbands, our spouses, our children, our career, our work, all of those things that we don't put ourselves first. And it's really, really hard to be on that receiving end of putting ourselves first because we feel like we're cheating everybody else. But in reality, we're not. Like we just need to be the best version of ourselves, whatever that means, to be able to give the best version of ourselves to everybody else.
Yes, I love that. That's so true. And I've actually even heard people say that I don't even want to be in pictures because of the way I look. And that's unfortunate because those are memories
Yeah,
that you want to look back on and not, and like, or I've heard women say like, oh, I cringe every time I see myself in a photo. And I'm like, that's not healthy. And
yeah,
what's the harm in getting something done to help you feel more confident? And this might be
right.
totally TMI for this podcast episode, but I don't care. I'm just gonna let it out. That when I was, gosh, how old was I? I was either 20 or 19. I was 20. I had a boob job. Because my girlfriend got it done. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would love to not have like little, bee stings anymore. And, just like, that's what I call my bee stings. And so I had that done and I kind of kept it secret. And actually still to this day, my dad doesn't know. Oh gosh. Now that I think about it, I hope he
Oh
doesn't watch
no.
this episode. But that being said, I'm like, what,
Uh-oh.
30, it'll be like 30, 37 here soon. So, it's okay, dad. I still love you. I know you love me too.
It's
But
fine. It's
but
fine.
that being said, it was not about like, I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just you're trying to be more sexual, whatever it is. But it's like, no, it's actually about me just feeling confident in your body,
Yes.
whether that's your
Yes.
boobs, your face, your nose. And I'm not saying go all crazy and totally, go crazy with it. But I think to a certain extent, you just have to not shame people equally for wanting that for themselves too.
Right. And
So no.
that's kind of like what I tell all my clients I have in the chair. Like whatever decision you make for yourself is great. And you just
Mhm.
have to be comfortable with that. And I never like try and push anything on anybody because I want them to, I mean, I believe in all the things that we do, otherwise we wouldn't do it.
Uh-huh.
But they have to be comfortable with their choices to be able to do that. So like I'm not going to push somebody into something that they aren't comfortable with or don't think is appropriate for them or whatever. Like I just want whoever is in my chair to feel good about themselves and feel good about their choices.
Well, hello, future CRNA. Another daily dose of inspiration along your CRNA journey. This success story from our student starts as follows. I had my first ever interview yesterday afternoon and received a call this morning that I have been accepted into my top choice program. I'm still in shock and so excited. I didn't think this would ever be possible this year since I hadn't been able to get any interviews at the other two schools I had applied to, but I kept studying and I kept praying. The timing was perfect and it happened exactly how it was supposed to. I'm so grateful for this community, the support and encouragement from everyone. The hard work that Jenny, Richard, and Dawn have put into this has been life-changing for me. Huge thank you to Haley Frank for a wonderful mock interview back in October. 100% recommend. The 5-day interview prep was so helpful as well as all the other resources. I watched all the mock interviews as well. For those that compare yourself to others just like I did, just know that everyone has a different path. I have 3 years of CV-ICU experience, a CCRN, CSC, GRE of 302, a cumulative GPA of a 3.2. The last 60 credits, though, of GPA was a 3.7 and a science GPA of a 3.5. I really believe the interview is what pushed me to the top because I was able to answer questions precisely, show my personality and my clinical knowledge. Keep pushing forward because if I can do this, so can you. So I love this story because maybe they were having doubts about their overall GPA being closer to 3.2. But what I want to point out here is that they broke down their GPA between what was the last 60 credit hour GPA, as well as the science GPA and overall. So know that your GPA is not just one number. It has multiple moving parts to it. So you have to really know them all in order to make better decisions about how to move forward. I also love the fact that, they seemed like they were facing a lot of fear and a lot of doubt whether this was going to be possible for them, but the timing just worked, and they never would have experienced the success had they not tried. They applied and they got in. So for those of you who are questioning whether to wait a year, just apply and see what happens. Now, I will also caution you to make sure that you know if your school has an application limit. Some schools only allow you to apply once or twice or maybe 3 times. So make sure you know that prior to just winging it. I'm not saying to just wing it and get one in just to get it in. But I do think if you start the process of trying to apply to CRNA school and getting the feedback on how to move forward if you're not selected is really the quickest way to gain acceptance to CRNA school. So just start putting yourself out there and then take the feedback. So I hope you guys enjoyed this inspirational story. Congratulations, you know who you are, and I'm so excited for you. I'm rooting for you all the way through. Now back to the show.
I love that. And I feel like that's the nurse, that's the CRNA speaking there, because I think that's why I was going to lead into, I think that we're uniquely positioned to do this type of career path as kind of a different avenue, because we really have that patient connection that you develop as a nurse. And then as a CRNA, we spend so much time alleviating fears and anxiety and, kind of helping people feel like you're in good hands. And I think that really suits you well for this role to allow to talk through that with a patient prior to, because it's kind of a big decision to go into having Botox and fillers, because you're like, oh gosh, am I going to look like a not me anymore? Or am I going to look like I've had work done? Or, or they maybe fear the judgment from their significant other. And I've had my own injector say that she has women who don't tell their husband because they don't approve of it. And I'm like, whoa, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or they come in, they're like, am I getting bruised? And I'm like, oh, I can't. I mean, have you seen the vascularity in my face? Like, I'm just like, I can't guarantee that you're not going to bruise. So like, now in the advent of COVID and masking, like just throw a mask on, like nobody, whatever, it's usually with lip filler that we have that conversation, but yeah, like nobody comes into my chair and is like, you know what I really want to look like blown up and unnatural. Like everybody wants to look natural.
Exactly.
And I'm like, yes, of course. Absolutely. Like nobody. And like, I tell people, I'm like, well, what do you think of my face? And like, well, do you do anything? I'm like, yeah, I do all the things.
Yeah. Right. And you would never know. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I have like 10 syringes in my face. Like it's fine.
You're so funny. So I guess, how did you start? I know you said you went through, was it Kelly? What was her last name?
Kelly Hermans. Yep.
Kelly Hermans. Is that, so did you do her training program, or how did you actually learn how to do this skill set?
Yes. So I did her novice training, which there was, at the time there were like 5 or 6 weeks of didactic. And then I went for a 3-day hands-on, and they were like 8 to 10 hour days. And before I even went to training, like I had a conversation with a couple physicians who I had proposed to be medical directors because you have to have that, at least in my state. I can't speak for other states, but I'm pretty sure almost everyone has to have medical directors. There may be some like NPs states where you don't, but I don't know the legality of that. So I'd had that. I had conversations with lawyers, with an accountant. So there's a lot of like back work that I had done prior to me just going and doing training. And like definitely her course prepared me with all of that information and helped me kind of make those connections or make those choices to learn how to be legal or learn the people to help guide me to stay legal and be legal. So it wasn't just I'm going to go do this. Like there was a lot of backup work. And so probably about a little less than a year after I did the novice course, I went back and did advanced with her as well. And then since then, I've done a lot of other training courses with other like injectors across the country. So as with anything, like even with CRNA education, like you do your initial education, and that's not like the end all be all. That's kind of like your entry level, right? Like you're always going to want to continue to learn new techniques, learn new things. There's always going to be like more emerging technologies. So you just want to always be training and educating yourself. Like if you get to the point where you think you know everything, then you're the problem, in my opinion.
Love that. No, I think the love of always learning should be there, and that's how you improve. And by always
Yeah.
challenging yourself, what's the new technique? Because I think the space is really changing a lot.
Yeah.
There always seems to be
Yeah.
new technology coming
Right.
out.
And I think also like there are changes in like treatment regimens, right? So like there are fads. So like it used to be a lot of like toxin fillers. And now I feel like there are, even in the short amount of time that I've been in the space, like it's heading towards like regenerative processes like PRP, PRF, that kind of thing. And I think like as CRNAs, we're really well versed in anatomy and physiology and pharmacology. And that's a lot of what this is. Not saying that other people can't be great injectors as well. I just think we have like a skill set that sets us up to be really, really excellent injectors.
Mm-hmm. And I think the hands-on skills that we developed too as a CRNA, I think would also help. Because I've always kind of wondered, it would be really hard. I mean, I think one of the hardest parts, at least when I think about it, is making sure everything's even, especially like on like lips or, cheeks and things like that. Would you say it takes kind of a certain eye to kind of catch that, or is it something that could be developed over time?
So I think they're both. So I think there is that like artistic portion that we still have, like doing anesthesia, like there's a science and an art about it, right? And then over time you learn and develop those skills that will get you that artful outcome that you're looking for. So I think they both add together. And, I have another CRNA, Jamie Davison, who is an injector with me. And I have two NPs, Emily Tirani and Melissa Demetriou. And like everybody that I have in my office are fantastic, like A team, everybody is awesome.
Nice. How did you meet, how did you find another CRNA who wanted to do this with you? And are they technically like your business partner? Or I guess, is it just for going to different classes that you met people along the way?
So they all worked with Ryan in the ICU before everybody went to advanced practice schools. Yeah. So it was kind of through him. Jamie, I worked with at a GI center before I had my youngest. So when I went back to work and I was like, I'm going to start this, she was, had an interest, and I was like, all right, come on, let's do it. Mm-hmm. And then like, we in Indiana practice under our nursing license, so we're not recognized as APRNs. So I need NPs, and I also needed more people like hands-on. So we just have advanced practice nurses in our office injecting at this point.
Awesome. Okay. And you said you knew the medical director through, it was kind of a family friend.
Well, so both Ryan and I did anesthesia for him at the surgery center and like areas. So, I just had, and it wasn't my first, he wasn't the first conversation that I had because I didn't know him really well. So he was actually like the third physician that I had approached and had a conversation with. So, for people wanting to do this, like, don't be discouraged if people say no, like, that's fine. It's just not your person and it's okay. But I remember like I went and had this conversation with him and met with him and I was like, look, like it's going to be great. You're going to love it. I had no idea what I was doing. And I still don't, but I was like, it's going to be great and you're going to love it.
Yeah. Well, he came on board. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's great. And he and his wife are fantastic people. And he is a plastic surgeon who does plastics and hands. So we do have some cross referral and he's on our website. And we're very open about that. We have professional and personal relationships. I think they're fantastic people. But it's nice to have from a business perspective, not saying that you can't have good relationships with plastics outside of this, but it's nice to have that relationship where you can be like, yes, for mommy makeovers or breast augmentation or tummy tuck or lipo or whatever, like we refer to this person. And I think, and he does excellent work. So I couldn't professionally work with someone or have a relationship with someone that I didn't think was fantastic. So it's really nice to have that professional relationship to cross refer back and forth to.
That is really nice. And I know as a CRNA, you do know all the best people when it comes to surgeons. So right. It really is kind of like an insider, like, oh yeah, I go there to get that tummy tuck. And you really, I know, right? Definitely a benefit of this career path, as you tend to know all the best. So I'd love to just kind of end this with kind of tell me about your current lifestyle. What has it really done for you? What does your typical day look like?
Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do anesthesia, and I mostly work at an ortho hospital near where we live. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I am injecting in my office from 9 to 3, 9 to 4, 9 to 5. So what this has given the ability, like I am able to drive my children to school Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And like that to me is just, that is what life is. Like our family is our most important thing. And being able to have that flexibility is awesome. And like, I'm able to pick them up if I need. Like I had an event like last week where one of my kids was sick and my in-laws weren't able to watch her until like the afternoon. So I just loaded her up and took her to the office with me. And like that, you can't do that in anesthesia. So that has been amazing. Just having that little bit of freedom. I will tell you, like I work all the time. Like even if I'm not at work, I'm still managing work or ordering something or responding to messages or emails or now that we have a storefront, I have an office manager also who is just amazing. Like she handles so many things for me. Like I'm kind of unexpectedly away this week for a family medical emergency, and like all of my team is just fantastic, just in handling everything. That I can be here with my family and focusing on that. So that has been so helpful. But it's a lot of work, and I definitely couldn't do it without a supportive husband and family. And that's just where my goal is, just to have more time with my family and kind of
to have the flexibility of being able to spend more time with your kids during times where we otherwise would be stuck in the OR.
It was
being
so
able
hard.
to pick your shifts. Yeah.
I mean, even if we're, both working like, 8 hours, like we both work in more independent facilities where like you work until the work is done, whether that's early or late. And that's really hard, like trying to make appointments or be available for your children or, whatever, like just life in general. It was really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And not that there aren't challenging times now, but, it's definitely worthwhile, I feel like.
Right. Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, this has been really eye-opening. Thank you, Megan, for coming on the show. And just a reminder,
thanks for having
Pure
me.
Anesthetics and Wellness. This is in South Bend, Indiana. So if you guys are listening to this and you're in the area, please reach out and go visit the med spa. And I'm going to be posting down below. You have Pure Anesthetics and Wellness IG. We also have your website and your Facebook. So that way you guys can connect with Megan. Thank you so much, and wishing you and your family best wishes. Recover well.
Thank
you for taking the time to do the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan.
Hey, future CRNA, as always, I appreciate you and your loyalty. Thank you so very much for tuning in this week. I'd love to hear from you, so screenshot this episode and share it to your IG stories with your biggest takeaway. Don't forget to tag me at CRNA School Prep Academy so I can personally thank you. Be sure to head over to CRNASchoolPrepAcademy.com to check out our blog and gather free resources to help you along your CRNA journey. Stay strong, and I'll see you next week.